Colorism affects women and men. One of the issues that I have with the conversation around colorism in the social media space is I feel like it's very one-sided. Obviously, black women, dark-skinned black women have a difficult time sometimes and are overlooked to lighter or ethically ambiguous or non-black counterparts. That's obvious. I've experienced it. I know a woman who've experienced it. So to act as if it doesn't exist would be disingenuous. So there's no argument there. The issue that I have is that oftentimes, almost 100% of the time, I see colorism personified as like black men. I see or hear this idea that black men are the biggest practitioners and the biggest instigators of colorism. And while I certainly know that there are black men who are colorist, I know this, there are also black women who are colorist. There are plenty of black women who are colorist. And the main influencers that I've seen who judge and who berate black men for being colorist are the exact same ones who go and say, because black men are colorist, therefore you need to go date and marry a white man. Or you need to divest from the community and expand your options, aka marry a man who's not black. And I'm like, at that point, you're literally doing the exact same thing that you were judging black men for doing. This doesn't make any sense to me. And so the issue I have is with the hypocrisy. I'm like, you can't judge somebody else for doing the exact same thing that you're doing. And again, I'm not saying that black men aren't colorist. There are black men who are colorist, but there are also black women who are colorist. And I think this conversation needs to be expanded so that all parties who are guilty can be held accountable. Because right now I think it's very one-sided. And I also feel like, or not even I feel like, I know that it's one-sided, and it's very common for black men to be portrayed as the instigators of this. And the issue that I have with that is that black men didn't create the beauty standard. Black women didn't create the beauty standard. We live in a racist system that is based upon European beauty standards. So it makes no sense, to me, it makes no sense for a black woman to be like, oh, black man, you are a colorist, therefore I'm going to go marry a white or European man who's not a colorist. I'm like, that makes zero sense, because you do understand that the beauty standard came from European or white foundations. Like its foundation is from a European white standard. So it makes no sense for you to judge a black one for being a colorist and then to go to the very man that you say created a system that oppresses you. That makes no sense. There's like zero logic to that. So, I mean, my thing is, look, I truly believe at the end of the day that everyone has a right to love who they love and to be attracted to whoever they want to be attracted to. Like, to me, that's not an issue. Now, I do think it's important to understand, why are you attracted to something? Are you just falling into media brainwashing? Have you just accepted self-hate? Or is it just really who you are? I mean, I think it's truly important to understand what's driving you. But at the end of the day, I mean, if a person prefers darker skin or lighter skin, to me, I'm like, there's no issue with that. The issue that I do have, however, is how this argument is very one-sided. And we don't talk about the fact that black women are oftentimes, I feel like, promoted and even celebrated for going outside of their race. They're celebrated for that. Hence you have this whole divest movement, the big divest movement that has really taken off. And that's hypocritical. It's hypocritical to say divest because black men are colorism, therefore marry a white guy, when you would literally judge a black man for doing the exact same thing. And that's just not fair. So my thing is, like who you like, but don't be a hypocrite. Like, don't judge someone else for doing the exact same thing that you're doing. And I feel like if there is ever hope of black people in America ever looking at colorism or looking at racism and doing better, the only way we can even get to the point to be healthier is to first have an honest conversation. And right now what's happening is not honest. It's dishonest and it's hypocritical. And I think until we can get past the point where we can recognize, okay, look, yes, black men are colorist sometimes, and yes, also black women can be colorist sometimes. Like, that has to be the starting point. But until both parties can recognize that they both can be guilty, or there's a level of guiltiness on both sides, then there's no hope for change, because you're not even willing to face the truth. And it's the truth that sets you free. You have got to first come to the reality and be like, this is what it is. And you can't skirt responsibility. So again, as I say, colorism obviously exists, but it exists on both sides. Women suffer from it and men suffer from it. Women practice it and men practice it. Let's just be clear about that. And so my goal isn't to try to make men or women worse than one another, or to say, oh, they do it more or do it less, because I think that's a silly argument. I just think both sides need to be accountable, and we need to stop the hypocrisy. We really need to stop the hypocrisy and say, okay, what's really driving this toxic behavior to begin with? What is driving this just bitter and this anger between men and women within the Black community to begin with? I mean, I think that's a better conversation. I think that's a better conversation than just pointing fingers and being hypocritical. I think it would be more intelligent to be like, why are we continuing to find reasons to bicker against each other? Like, what's really going on there? So these are just a few of my thoughts. I'll probably go into this a little bit later on, but this is just some of the things that I've noticed lately in the social media space. Every time it's a colorist argument, it's almost 100% of the time a woman blaming a Black man, and I'm like, that's not even full or fair representation, because it certainly happens both ways. And I think we need to discuss how it happens in our community in its totality, so that we can actually get better. So let me know what you think. Leave your questions, comments, concerns, feedback in the comments section below. Thank you so much for listening if you've gotten this far, and talk later.